Welcome to Grieve with Portia, the podcast that uncovers the hidden treasures within grief. I'm your host, Portia the producer, and I'm inviting you to join me on a transformative journey where we will exchange laughter, of course the best medicine of them all, reflect on cherished memories, remember that time that the little boy grabbed my hand instead of his mother's at the amusement park? Yikes. And of course discover gratitude while navigating one of life's hardest challenges, loss. So get ready to grieve with me, Portia the producer. Let's dive in. Hey listeners, welcome back to another episode of Grieve with Portia. I am your host and face, Portia the producer. Don't forget you guys to like, share, and subscribe to keep up with all the latest and greatest of Grieve with Portia. So before we begin, I'm just grateful. My heart is just full of gratitude today. Like it's just what I call may thy cup runneth over type of thing. But today, guys, we are joined by a special guest. We are joined by an intuitive truth seeker who is on a mission to what I call create a community around healing while combining two of her passions, health and film. You guys might have seen her on Oprah and also NPR because her message is truly inspirational and full of healing. So welcome, founder of Truthseeker Wellness, Miss Judy Ben-Asher. How you doing today, Judy?
I'm so good. I'm so grateful to be with you.
You and me both, Judy. You know, I remember when we first met, I felt like there was just a divine connection. And, you know, I know it took us a little bit of time to get this schedule, but, you know, everything happens at the right time. So,
Yeah.
Judy, for our audience who are tuning in, I always start off these conversations with gratitude. What are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful that I've had so many people pass so that I can learn the lessons that I may have missed if I was sort of taking life for granted, if that makes any sense. So I'm grateful to be excited to be alive every day. And I'm a work in progress, believe me, but I'm just excited to be here.
Judy, I can feel that. You know,
Yeah.
It may sound taboo to our society to express gratitude, right, for our loved ones, our friends who have made their transition or graduation from this physical plane, to say that we're grateful for the life and legacy and the lessons that we've taken from them and that we incorporate into our own life, right? We're continuing to honor them. We're continuing to show people that, yes, this person did exist physically, right? And even though they're no longer here, there's still a part of them with us, no matter what.
And I'm sensitive to energy. And I feel like they're with us whenever we're thinking about them anyway. And I feel like your mom and my mom brought us together on purpose. So makes me happy to know you.
Judy gonna make me cry. It's so interesting. For our audience who is tuning in, before me and Judy began this conversation, I have to share with all of you that I took Mr. Fletcher out, my doggy, for pee o'clock, and there was two monarchs playing in the front yard, big ones. I mean, the size of my hand. Yeah. And it just brought so much comfort to my
mom and your mom.
Yeah. You know, they always say like butterflies are angels sent from heaven, or kind of like that bridge between our physical world and where our loved ones have gone. So Judy, this is just truly confirmation that, you know, we are amongst, you know, our loved ones in a different form, right? And I think if we learn to embrace that life, quote unquote, after transition is different, then I think that our grieving process may not be so tumultuous. And Judy, you know, I really want to dive in because I mean, your journey, your story of grief is very unique, but not as unique as what people may think. You know, both of us are entrepreneurs, right? And one of the things that I'm always curious about, considering that we go through so many transitions as entrepreneurs, right? From moving to a different state or even embarking on a new community of support. So Judy, for our audience, how are you navigating the grief that comes with being an entrepreneur?
So, I mean, I've lost my mom and my dad and a sister and a brother. So just in my immediate family, there's 4, right? Along with grandparents and ancestors and all that thing. And, friends, dear friends, people I've worked with, lost a lot of people, as we all do, right? And it affects me as an entrepreneur because I feel like every time I process something, I have to share about it. It's just sort of the way I'm built. If I learn about a vegetable and I'm in a grocery store, I can't help myself. I have to talk about it to somebody. My husband's always like, can we please just grocery shop and not talk to anybody? And it's just not how I'm wired. And luckily I met him when I was 10 years old. Otherwise, he would have smacked me. No, because I love if I know something, I want to share it, And so after my mom passed, I was doing testing around my health. And the more I learned about her illness, she had ovarian cancer, the more I was learning about her illness, the more I wanted to share. And my background is in holistic healthcare since 1990. As a professional, and then also film and television professionally since 1994. So I wanted to bring my worlds together and do a documentary about healing. And so I started my film called Truthseeker. And, we always get what we wish for, even if we're not conscious that we're wishing for it. So my name is Truthseeker. And so I did a bunch of testing to see if I had her health history. And what I found out was through a DNA test that she was my mom, but my dad wasn't my dad. And she had already passed, so I couldn't speak with her about it. And it's been a fascinating journey. And so now the film Truthseeker really makes a lot of sense to me. Um, and because I want to share with people, I know what I went through. I'm calling identity level trauma. I totally lost my identity because my DNA test didn't tell me who I was. It told me who I wasn't. And I'm now 54, but I found out when I was 50, and it shook my whole world. It really did. It was a journey finding out who my biological dad was, and turned out to be someone I knew until I was 8 years old. So I knew him from 0 to 8, and I loved him like a father, which is funny, family friend. This is a very common thing going on right now. I know, according to MIT Tech, when I went through it in 2019, 26 million people had a DNA discovery through a DNA test. And that's a lot of people. And it's a lot of identity level trauma. So now I'm doing a docu-series, not just a documentary, called Truthseeker. And I'm partnered with the 17th Surgeon General of the United States, Dr. Richard Carmona. And he's talking about the science, and I'm talking about the healing aspect. And I'm also coming from a place of, I know nothing. I mean, I've worked in holistic healthcare since 1990, so I have degrees in things, but we live and learn. And so I'm coming from a perspective of, I don't know everything, but if I don't know it and I want to know it, I'm going to find someone who does, and then have them talk to you about it. So we're also starting a podcast of the same name. Hopefully airing so soon, and it'll be on healing. So for people who haven't done a DNA test and gone through that, but they just have a healing journey they're going through, it still could be a good fit for you. But yeah, so as an entrepreneur, the deaths that I've gone through and the life crises, I guess, that I've gone through, if that's a word, has led me to where I am now, which was, I decided to tell my story, and telling my story meant that some of my family weren't going to speak to me again. And I was grieving the loss of my mom already. And then I found who my biological dad was, and he had passed already. So I've never been able to talk to either of them about the truth. And my family members that may or may know something aren't talking, and they're not talking to me. And especially since I'm talking about it publicly. But the day I decided I wanted to talk about it, I got an email from Oprah's team, from Oprah Daily, asking me to speak with them about forgiveness. So I got a chance to talk to Oprah about forgiveness on this topic, and it's been a ride, that's for sure. Yeah.
Judy, first and foremost, what I'm picking up right now, and it's funny because before we started our conversation, you pulled an angel card around forgiveness,
Yes, I
right?
did.
And let's be realistic when we're grieving, right? You're grieving, obviously, the fact that you can't ask your mom the
Right.
question of how come this was hidden from me that the person who I thought was my dad is not. Once I discovered who my dad is, I can't ask him anything. And
Right.
now my family, who has known, in a sense, about this all this time. Now I'm 50 something years old. I'm half a century years old, and just now discovering that my whole identity
Right.
has taken a whole new turn. It's like you've been flipped upside down. And Judy, for our audience, right? How do you forgive not only just yourself, but also the individuals, your mom, your dad, and your family for
Yeah.
them not being able to support you in the way that you needed them.
Well, the truth is everybody's doing the best that they can with the tools that they have, right? So I don't feel a need to forgive anybody because I feel like they're just doing what they can to sustain life or people that have gone through life already. And I wish I could show you guys this card because the angel card I pulled is forgiveness and understanding. That's what it says. And oh, here it is. Um, and I'm using a background because I just moved, so you can't really see it, but it's forgiveness and understanding. And Portia and I literally pulled a card right before she introduced me today. So I guess that's the topic, forgiveness and understanding. When it comes to my mom, we were really, really close. And I talked to her every day, all day. And Portia knows this. I believe that the other side is like paper thin. And when I feel her or smell her or just think of her or that song comes on the radio, I know she's with me. I know she is. And sometimes I'll laugh, sometimes I'll cry. I usually cry, but it's different every single time. And what I know about my mom is that she led a heartfelt life. She did the best that she could. And I'm 54, right? So I was created in 68. I came out in 69, but I was created in 68. And there was just a different way of life, for some, not for all, back then. And it's not for me to judge her relationships, it's not my relationship. And my mom and dad that raised me chose each other every day for 57 years, 58 years they were married. And I'm not even that old, so I can't, being in any relationship every day is a choice. And so I don't begrudge any of her decisions. And my dad is still alive that raised me, 92. And we talk about this, and he'll never tell me the full story. And that's okay. That's for his protection and it's his choice. And I respect that. And I respect my mom and her choices. And I am grateful to be alive. So for the people who don't want me to talk, that's okay for them. I'm still going to do it because I don't want to have any shame for being born. I don't want to have any shame for a second of my life. I am here and this has happened. And I, I have done a few things wrong in my lifetime. Oh my goodness. You know what I mean? But this is not one of them. This is not this I am a product of someone else's decision, you know, and I don't want to be a victim of that of circumstance. I want to be empowered. And so my work in the world now is to help other people be empowered by their life. And it's messy and it's okay. And we feel a lot of things and that's okay. But we just, we need to be kind to each other and we need to be good to ourselves. And it's freaky, kind of weird the way I think about it. But when my mom was sick and in the hospital, there was a doctor for every organ. And I'm not sure how many of you out there have had a cancer journey in the family, but there's a doctor that comes in and talks about every organ. So it really made me think, my liver didn't kill my mom. So why am I hurting my liver overeating, or, having too many nachos or Reese's Pieces? Like, my liver didn't do anything. So why am I harming my liver in the name of grief, in the name of um, treat, or whatever we want to call it, escape. Some people say you get a treat for being at the end of the week, especially as an entrepreneur. Like, I got through my thing, I can have some cupcakes, or I can have, and for me, I now think about all of my organs and what my thoughts are doing to them and what my food is doing to them. And it's all kind of just nutrition. Um, and so I'm on a deep healing journey right now because
You know,
I did beat up my liver.
I think we've all, grief. I'm somebody too, Judy. It's weird because once my mom made her transition, I
Yeah.
found myself in a sense not having an appetite.
Yeah, I
And so
didn't
it's
have that.
well, I'm proud of myself from getting back on what I call the steady train, where
Yeah.
I gave myself a pat on the back last week for actually having 3 home cooked meals, breakfast,
Oh,
lunch, and dinner.
I'm proud of you for that. I'm happy for you for that. It's good. It's good for you. I mean, we need to eat. For me, I just wasn't eating for my health. I was eating for my feelings, and it didn't work. It made me much sicker, and I'm not trying to get in the ground that fast. I want to be here, and I'm grateful for being here. And I needed to align my mission with my physical intentions, if that makes sense, as I have a hot flash.
Well, and Judy, I love how you brought that up, kind of being in the right church, in the right pew, instead of being in the right church, just several pews all the way back.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us need what I call that accountability, that
Mm.
reminder of, hey, make sure that what we're putting out into the world is in alignment with what we're actually doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Alignment for me is a big deal. And as somebody who also has taught, mindset and manifestation since 2011, I was feeling very out of alignment with my mission. And before I started working with DNA and people who've gone through these things and identity level trauma, and every group that has identity level trauma, I just didn't feel like I was true to my word, you know. And then I realized that a lot of it became habit, and hurting myself on purpose, but it was a habit. It was so unconscious, so I'm working on all the layers with you know all my spiritual practices, but I'm also doing EMDR and tapping, and so working with a therapist, and working with coaches and people like me, because I don't have all the answers. But I want to find those people and then share their wisdom with everyone. So yeah, that's my mission now.
And I love that, Judy. And for our audience, Judy, who is tuning in, if they're interested in connecting with you and learning more about your work, is there a social media handle or website you can share with us today?
Yeah, I am on Instagram. It's at Judy Ben-Asher, and I can give you the links, Portia, so you can put it on there. And the website is truthseekerwellness.com.
Excellent. So
And I'll
those
give
are
you all of that. Yeah, because I love talking to people and I love meeting people. So I'd love to, answer anything I can. If anybody has a comment or a question, I would love to talk to you.
appreciate it. Judy, what's coming up for me right now is obviously you're focused on seeking the truth and finding the truth and uncovering the truth. And considering that a part of your journey was so heavily rooted
I know.
in not truthfulness, right? In a lie. What
Yeah.
what would you say was that nudge to you to seek the truth instead of continuing to stay under the veil of that lie?
Well, I mean, so I got dubbed truth seeker before I figured this out, because I've always been, I know, thanks universe. I really would thank you. I have always been that person that wanted to uncover every mystery I could. I've always just been very, very curious. And my glasses are fogging up because of my hot flash. Pardon me. That's just live. And so I just always wanted to understand the truth. And when you find out that you're personally the family secret and you've been lied to every minute since birth, it takes a toll. It takes a minute just to find your footing again. And when I was a kid, I never felt right. I always felt like an outsider in my house. I didn't look like anyone in my house. My oldest brother's blonde, blue-eyed. My oldest sister's red hair and blue eyes. My sister, my brother. So I had a redhead and a blonde, blue-eyed, and my brother brown hair and blue eyes, and I have black hair and green eyes. Or I did before I started to gray, which is happening now. But so I just always felt like an outsider and an intruder, even in my house. I never fit in. I never felt right. I never felt um like I always felt like I had to chase love. And I would make up stories about myself when I was little to try and fit into everyone else's narrative. So I was this person who grew up lying to try and find my way. Like I just wanted people to like me. So I was trying to be who they needed me to be, you know? And so this whole thing coming so full circle. And when I recognized that about myself and stopped lying, you grow up. You have to allow yourself to grow up and not be who we always thought we were, So now I'm very comfortable in my own skin. Um, it's my skin, so I'm very comfortable as who I am and don't need to make that up. And so it was really like a huge meaning in the words truth seeker, and it was two of the heads of a pretty large book company, a publishing company, that dubbed me truth seeker. So I heard them and I listened and I was like, okay, because I am really so curious what truth is and how to live in that peacefully, because it doesn't always feel good when you find the truth. It doesn't feel good to have to go on a healing journey. It doesn't, it's uncomfortable. And now I'm just getting very comfortable with discomfort, if that makes any sense at all.
Oh yeah, embracing the uncomfortable with a comfortable hug.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. And I mean, Judy, when I think about just the journey you've been on, right, to discover that this identity that you thought that you had
Yeah.
really is not it. And then the universe kind of implanting this, hey, you're going to be a truth seeker, not realizing you're going to be playing Inspector Gadget in your own life. Like,
right. And and then having the gift of speaking to Oprah about this, and it wasn't only because she is who she is. It's when I met her, she had just lost her father. It was a couple days after her father passed, and it was a really big gift to just be in the presence of someone grieving. And she was in the room with her dad when he passed. I was in the room with my mom. So we had talked about that, and I felt so connected to this human, and all of the idea of icon and celebrity and whatever else that silliness is. It was just human to human. And then I found out that she had had a DNA journey, a DNA discovery of her own. She had two sisters named Patricia, and she found her oldest sister Patricia later in life. And it was beautiful to just recognize that I am not alone, and how important that was for me to feel like, oh, this even happened to Oprah. It's not about money or race or religion or country of origin. It's human. And And if me talking to her helped me the way it did, then I want to talk to millions of people. I just want to talk to as many people as I humanly can that have gone through this discomfort and pain, because we're not alone, and community is everything. And I feel so strongly about loneliness, as a big piece of grief, right? It feels very lonely, but when you start talking to people, you realize they've gone through it too. And it doesn't make you happy, but it makes you feel like, okay, it's not just me. And they're surviving. And so I can survive this. I can get through it, because there are days with grief that you feel like this will never end. And it's not a wave, it's a roller coaster, and I'm stuck on it forever. And it's not true. It's not true. It's a moment and it's awful, but no one is alone on this planet. We're all here together. So really a beautiful thing that you're doing in the world, I think.
Thank you, Judy. It's funny how you've been coined the truth seeker. And I remember I was sharing with my mom before she made a transition how I wanted to go back to school to become a mental health therapist to work with people in grief. Well, it just seemed, Judy, that every time I wanted to apply to school, it just wasn't the right time. And then, of course, here comes Grew with Portia. My mom makes her transition, and then I do a whole series around grief.
Right.
It's similar to your journey, right? You've been kind of coined the truth seeker. Now I've been kind of coined like helping people find the hidden gift.
Yeah, well, you're a
Grief
truth
journey.
seeker too, and all your listeners are truth seekers, or they wouldn't be here. It's not just me. I mean, that's what they named me. That's what my docuseries will be about, and podcasts and stuff. But we're not alone in any of this. It's global.
100%, especially with grief. I think there tends to be so much isolation that
Mhm.
happens because of the way society has ingrained what grief is.
Well, we've been taught to stay quiet,
Mm-hmm.
especially as women, right? If you're upset and a man sees you upset, it's because you're a woman. It's not because you're a person in pain. That's the old story, right? And most of us don't feel like that anymore. But I think it's so important for people in grief to feel it. And if that means you're in a supermarket and they played that damn song that you and your mom used to play in the car every single time, and you burst into tears, that's perfect. That's fine. It's what happens, and you're perfect.
Judy, oh my goodness, that has happened to me so many times.
Yeah.
I remember last year being the first Christmas without my mom,
Yeah.
and I was in the grocery store. I'm trying to hold my tears back because I know they're
Yeah.
coming. And I remember hearing the song, I Miss You More Than Words.
Right.
And I'm literally standing over by where I'm getting eggs, almond milk, coconut milk. Now, mind you, it's cold as a morgue over there in the grocery store.
Right.
I've got on like 90 layers of clothes, and I'm trying to fight back the tears, fight back the sweat because I'm in the store.
Right.
So I can relate to it. But I gotta admit though, crying has been so amazing through my grief journey, just letting it go. I think we undervalue the benefits of shedding tears. I feel so much lighter, not to be graphic, when I have those good ugly cries where the snot is so thick I can literally wrap a lasso around my car and tow it type of
Yeah.
thing.
Right. But the big ugly cry is there for a reason. You're able to cry like that because your body needs it. And that goes back to the organ conversation. Your liver has to process the feeling, and so do your kidneys, and so do all your organs. And when we don't allow to process those feelings, we get sick. And that doesn't help the person who's already passed. That only makes it harder on them, right? So if we want to consider other people around us, I say lean into every big ugly cry and rage, and to not hurt another person. But if you feel rage when you're upset, that's just as important as feeling tears and all of that. You can scream into a pillow, you can go to the mountains and scream and yell, or go to a workout class. Like for me, boxing, I did a kickboxing class. Oh my God, that felt so good. Oh, it was so cathartic for me to kick something, because I am a pacifist on so many levels. And it felt really good to just let that rage piece of me come out. I didn't know how pissed off I was until I started doing that. And there's no one way, right? There's something for everybody. But for me, it was that kind of, yeah. And I was in the gym once, and I looked over and I saw this, like aerobic class, and they were doing this really specific dance move. That was my mom's token thing on the floor. And I burst into tears at the gym. And I just sat there staring at these people, bawling my head off. Walked outside, got it kind of together, but I let myself cry and went back in and finished my workout. And it is what it is. And if people judge it, that's not about us. That's about them.
100%, Judy. And I'm the same way. And I used to be that person where I'm like, I gotta hold my tears till I go to the car.
Yeah.
Nope. Sometimes they just start and I just remove myself from the room or situation. Again, get myself together, but I allow myself to feel. And I think that's kind of what we're really getting at, is that essence of giving ourselves permission to feel all
Yes.
the emotions, right? Instead of stifling our grief, allow it, embrace it, right? Embrace it like a hug,
Hmm.
the discomfort, the comfortable hug to the discomfort, and then allowing ourselves to fully feel it
Yeah.
and not evade it like what our
Right. We don't
society
have
has
to
taught
push
us.
it away. We've been told for a lifetime that, you shouldn't be upset, you shouldn't show any emotion. People don't want to hear it, and the truth is, if we're around people and we're saying, I'm in so much pain right now, can I talk to you about this, or can I have a hug? And they say no, that's perfect for them, but those are not the people we should be around right now, right? I'm not in judgment of those people. Everyone has to protect themselves the best way they can. Not everyone is capable in that moment of giving, right? But there are plenty of people who will, and strangers that show up and just love on you, and giving them the opportunity to do that is huge. So you just never know, you know, if you're sitting on a rock having a good cry, somebody may walk up and just sit next to you. And that's like the coolest thing ever.
Oh, I've got a story for that, Judy. I Several years ago, I was outside. I lived out of state, and I was literally bawling my eyes out on my lunch break in front of
Mhm.
my car. I was so upset, and I can't even tell you, Judy, what this man looks like to this day. All I remember is he came and put his arm around me and said, I don't know what's going on in your life, but I'm going to pray for you. He prayed
Oh,
for me and walked away. I don't even know what he looked like.
right.
Just sweet as can be. So you're 100% right. We just need to allow, be open to when people are willing and wanting to support us as we're going through our grieving moments.
Yes. Allowing, though, is the key. Allowing, we have to allow. And that, for me, with manifestation and teaching manifestation, that's one of the biggest pieces, is that we want all these things, but we don't always allow it to happen. And it's like an energy block, and when the universe sends you somebody who's going to care for you and take care of you through this, even though you can't explain it to them, even if they don't really get it, but they're kind to you and they want to support you, if you can allow it, um, it's everything. And it also has an impact and effect on them that's so beautiful. And there's a ripple effect of goodness that comes from that. And it's just from feeling your feelings.
100%. 100%. We've got to learn to allow ourselves to feel.
Mhm.
And then when the emotions do take over, don't stifle them. And then
Mhm.
to what your point, Judy, about manifestation, right? We may not be able to see the whole yellow brick road map in front of us, but just going with the flow, taking action steps every single day and just allowing the path to just form
Yeah.
organically.
Yeah.
organically, guys. Judy, first and foremost, again, I'm so grateful for you coming on and sharing with our listeners so much of your wisdom and your roadmap to healing from this life of kind of somewhat deception to now pivoting to a moment of truth.
Yeah.
Judy, we're going to be wrapping up here soon. And for our audience who is tuning in, if they want to connect with you, can you share your social media and website again for us?
Yes. So on all social media, I'm Judy Ben-Asher. And then if you want to find my website, it's truthseekerwellness.com. Truthseekerwellness.com. And I would just love to talk to everybody. I want to talk to everybody. But, I just think that anyone listening is here for a reason, whether they believe in universe or source or God, we all have our different names for things and feelings about things, and no judgment on any of it, I know Portia and I. So you don't have to believe in my beliefs, reading angel cards and things to connect with me. I'm happy to talk to you and just be a source for you. That's what I have to offer in the world, and it makes me so happy, source of healing for people.
Dude, you're more than that. You're a healer. You're an just a true inspiration of how our adverse circumstances can indeed be converted to an opportunity if we're open to seeing it and open to answering that call instead of putting it down.
Well, and that's what you're doing with this podcast, which is beautiful. And I have so much respect for you and what you're doing in the world. And both of us went through a thing, and now we're trying to help other people going through a thing. And that's the best that we can do, right? Is just show up. So even if it's messy, even if we don't have all the answers, you and I are people that show up. And I love that about you. And I'm so grateful to know you. I think it's just really important what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Judy. Just hearing that is just a true testament to all the work that I've been doing these last couple years, and to want to help more people to get to where I am or make peace with what I call the often taboo-ness around grief.
Yeah. It's as if, feelings are a bad thing, and they aren't. We're not all the same person. We don't all have to pretend to be happy all the time. We're allowed to feel bad. It's just feeling bad in a community, of love, and a judgment-free community space like this is everything. And I think it's really just urgent and important. And that's why I have two groups, one for DNA people that have gone through identity level trauma, and another group for people that want to manifest and do mindset work, just to have a community space for people where they're loved on for whatever they think, And so I think the more listeners that you can get, the better, because you're just doing such beautiful things in the world.
Thank you, Judy, so much. Well, everybody, that was your truth seeker herself, Miss Judy Ben-Asher, that you heard from. And that concludes another episode of Grew with Portia, season number 2. Thanks for listening, everybody. Peace and hair grease. Thank you so much for tuning in to Grew with Portia. Remember to subscribe to my channel for the latest episodes. And of course, follow me on social media. You can follow me on Instagram at Portia the Producer. Anyway, guys, until we meet again, peace and hair grease.